We are keeping the streak alive on the Independent Investor channel on a Friday evening, 9 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. Actually, just about a minute early. Wanted to pop on here real quick. This live stream is going to be pretty awesome. It's going to be raw. So for you guys that have been with me for a while, sit back, enjoy, grab yourself a drink. I'm sure a lot of you guys are out there working for your week. This is a good opportunity for you guys to get a nice financial piece. My door is always wide open. I do drop the invite in the live stream for you guys. So if you guys do want to kick on and say hello, I've got some pretty cool stuff in store for you guys. So stick around, guys. We're going to get raw on the investing game, guys. Stick around. It's good. This is usually the time of the year where the tempo on the Independent Investor channel, at least for me, having gone through this for multiple years, does in fact slow down just a touch. Okay, so the upload frequency tends to slow down around Halloween time for me. This year has been really interesting. It hasn't been necessarily a slow down or a digress on the channel at all. It's been an attempt to infuse some of the other platforms. 2020, I've said it all the way through. It's just been a bad year, honestly. There's been a lot of things that have happened this year that have just been not good worldwide, and I don't want to get too in depth on that. As far as the Independent Investor channel goes, it couldn't have been a better year. It's fantastic. I've got projects popping. And that's exactly what I want. There's no way that you can start a project like this and you can envision where it's going to go, what it's going to turn into, what type of contacts you're going to come along and meet. You know, Matt Money and Kyle come right to my mind because, you know, Kyle really helped me out this time around. And, you know, when I come on here and I offer the Independent Investor channel, man, I've done it the same way for the last 3.5 years. I want you guys to really recognize that fact. I'm not perfect. I don't script this thing. I take opportunities where they present themselves. And I really do calculate the risk versus the reward in any decision that I deliberate on the channel. And I absolutely take my audience into consideration. One thing that you guys are going to have to realize, and I know there's a ton of people that come to the message and they really enjoy my content. I enjoy doing this. I really do. And I think there needs to be more people like me who advocate for the everyday investor. I really do. On the same token, I do also understand that there's going to be people out there that the message doesn't jive with. And that's totally fine too. I do the very best that I can do for 60 minutes to roll out an opportunity. And every single Friday, I kick the door open, wide open, for anybody across the social media, me not knowing who could potentially walk through that door, to come on and rap with me, whether or not you're a channel creator and you don't like my approach to how I do this gig. I was certainly not provided a playbook from YouTube, that's for sure. And I will also go out on a limb and say a lot of these special initiatives and programs that I've rolled out, man, I didn't know squat about this gig when I started. I didn't know anything about editing. I didn't know anything about iMovie. I didn't know anything about camera, lighting, and sound. I didn't know anything about any of that. And the progress that you're able to kind of sit back and enjoy on the Independent Investor, man, is honestly because of my willingness to grind behind the scenes, things that cannot really be appreciated I know people come onto a YouTube channel and they're like, man, 300,000, or they kick onto a Matt Money, who's pushing 600,000, probably a $1 million net worth. And it's like, I want that. And there's no real fair acknowledgement to what it takes to get that, And I monitor social media circles. I really do, to an extent. I get a little bit of enjoyment out of it because every now and then I come across a sharp comment. But for the majority of the comments that I come across, I'm sorely disappointed. I really am. I think especially a lot of our young people are unfortunately caught up in the hype and the euphoria that is so easily exacerbated within social media circles, where that starts to creep in and that starts to affect your investing hypotheses. I think that's extremely unfortunate. I've read a few threads about not being able to feed the family and not being able to do certain things because they've got caught up in the hype of investing and really thought because they could access the market that somehow lent them eligible to success in the market. A raw investing discussion is going to be kind of in your face a little bit. People need to be told that they can lose freaking money. All right. And I'm going to try to keep the cussing to a minimum because I do, in fact, acknowledge that if there are some young folks that are coming in and they're catching a raw message from somebody like myself who's been investing for a long time, I don't have a lot of patience anymore, man. I'm freaking trying. Remember how I talked about me not being perfect? I'm definitely not. I'm far from it. I've made all kinds of mistakes in investing. Definitely. And if I can impart to the young investor how to circumvent some of those mistakes that have been made along the line, we're going to be better for it. There's no doubt. And with the power of social media, man, you get the opportunity to sit down in front of perhaps maybe someone like myself who offers my message a little bit more as a tutorial. Okay. Remember, I don't know how many folks were rolling out portfolio reviews openly on YouTube free of charge before I came along. Okay. I called the BS flag on that garbage and I started rolling out. Why? Because that's what I wanted to do, man. I didn't see any problem with that. I wanted people to be able to really sit down and for free immerse themselves on what the investing opportunity even looked like, what it kind of felt like, and what it even maybe just smelled like. You know what I mean? A lot of people, man, what they sense about the market or what they've heard about the market or what they've built up in their mind as far as barriers to entry to the stock market are all garbage. It's all fabrication, man. It's all made up in your head. Okay. I think a lot of folks, man, that I would respect in the small circles, Gen X dividend investors made his way into the group tonight. Super stoked to see him. His project is coming along really nicely. I'm a student to his game for sure, as I'm a student in a lot of these games. I know Matt and Kyle and these other guys are grinding. J-Max riding a wave of, he's just been on fire. And I'm all about that. I'm the first to applaud those successes because what these cats are doing is they're showing that it's possible, right? They're showing that it's possible how you can catch that hyper growth with the power of social media, man. It's a great thing. I applaud those efforts. But for a new investor or somebody that's new that doesn't know a whole heck of a lot about the stock market to come in and catch me for 60 minutes, I'm pretty intense on rolling this out. I can dig pretty deep into the archives, guys, but if there was a little bit of what I see on the landscape, I think a lot of people, man, they invest with two philosophies in play, okay? And I want to use an analogy, and I want you guys to stick with me for just a second. I think a lot of people need to take on more of the rubber band approach as opposed to the popsicle stick approach, okay? I think a lot of people, at least from what I've seen, invest as if they're a popsicle stick. What I mean by that, if you put a little bit of pressure on the stick, it doesn't take very long before the stick breaks. Okay. It's the same idea with stock ownership. It seems as if there's a lot of people that invest in the stock market and they do so in an ill-advised position, I will add. Okay. A lot of people have a very hard time identifying risk in the market. They have a really hard time evaluating the amount of risk that they are able to take on based on their tolerance. Okay. This is super important. If you're new to investing, sit back, chill out. I'll explain it to you. It's very, very simple. The advanced way of owning stock in the stock market is to be a lot more elastic, a lot more like the rubber band that I talked about. Okay. In that if you enter into a stock at, let's say, $25 and that stock ends up falling to $18, it's your ability to stretch with that and be elastic in that and have a little bit more perspective over the ownership over those specific stocks that you deliberated over, made whatever self-study that you needed to justify entering into the position. But I think all too often people start to fall victim to, once they enter into a specific stock, certain pressures. As the stock starts to fall, the pressure starts to build, like I'm saying, and we break. Okay. And I think a lot of young investors do in fact fall victim to this. A lot of my messages seeking to aim to the young investors, full well knowing that I'm not going to get to all of them, because I think if they're anything like I was when I was 18, 19, 20 years old, I mean, I had my hair on fire, working on boats, right? And I think there's a lot of young hustlers out there doing the same thing. Hustlers, man, in a good way, going to college, right? Trying to seek out a career, because part of my raw discussion tonight is going to be bringing home the fact that having a job, having an income is kind of the key to this deal. And I think that's something that gets missed all the time as well with young investors, is that I don't know if it's because they're trying to circumvent the system or get ahead without working. It's not important, right? So I can just invest my way to success. If that's your mindset, you need to get rid of that. You need to get that gone, and you need to get that gone right away. The stock market is not something to be played with in that regard. It is not. It's something that can supplement other aspects of your life, no doubt about it. And I am an advocate for those young investors taking some of these risks. That's why when I see some of these comments through some of the social media circles, I look at it completely different. I'm like, you're fine. And they're pulling their hair out, and they're watching their portfolio just get destroyed. Again, I come back to the evaluation of risk, and maybe instead of 100 shares of Hyliion, maybe you should have bought 10, all controlled by scale. But I don't know if the justification for the 100-share position is the delusion of grandeur. Like, this is amazing. If I buy it for this and it goes to this, I'll make that. Man, that is a scary, scary proposition and deliberation. And the silver lining in the whole thing is the inherent lesson that is learned from that ill-founded deliberation before you enter a stock. Like, I can justify entering into a higher growth company, right? Any of the high growth companies, that really is outperforming right now for me. My small growth portfolio is killing it. It's absolutely killing it. My dividends are doing their job, and my passive ETFs are doing their job. But certainly as a young investor, I can absolutely acknowledge the importance of taking on a little bit more risk. But there is a fine freaking line that of getting too overexposed to the market and evaluating where your sources of information are coming from, because I really feel like there's way, way too many people out there who are prescribing to a program that unfortunately will be planned failure. And I'm not saying that everybody will lose. Unfortunately, there will be people out there who actually get lucky on that line of thinking. And unfortunately, they typically get lucky and they think it's all based on skill. It's not. It's based on luck. You got lucky. And the interesting part about the stock market and the lesson to be learned there, it is very fruitful in the stock market. There's many, many ways to make money in the market. I'm pursuing one of those avenues. I was on the phone tonight with Merrill Edge for about an hour. Evidently, there was a glitch in my account that was prohibiting me from buying options. So, in pursuance of my layering up in my program, I will be pursuing some of those. I've had the orders queued up, really some covered calls on VYM. I know Dave with Hidden Freedom Investing in the group here. Freaking so thankful, man, just to know these guys. Dave's just awesome. Just can't thank you enough. You know, he always finds the time to come in here and support my message and says certain things on other live streams. Even this came off of Kyle and Matt's live stream a couple weeks ago. He always pops in like cool hand Luke, man, and just sits there, and everything he says, you know, if he can get a word in with Kyle, you know, he'll inject, and it's really, really smart. So you got to listen up. But he was talking about that, and I understand these guys gave a nice lesson on some of the strategies that they're looking to uncover. And I think it's awesome. I think as a community, we're definitely upping the degree of pursuance of success together. There's no doubt. I'm a better steward of this game. I'm a better student of the game. And quite frankly, I'm a better teacher of the game and the craft by being associated with you kind folks. And I just want to thank you. There's a lot of people that I do this channel for. There is. I wish I could really disclose to the group a lot of the private emails that I get from people who do not comment, and they do not comment ever. And they sit back and they're like, I've watched you since 6,000 subscribers. And I'm like, whoa, man. You know, I always just assume this audience is based on the tip of the iceberg, the 78 people who have made their way into the live stream this evening, or the 1,000 people that will catch it after the fact. And it really brings me home to have that sharper perspective on this gig and really try to focus on and keep the high road in focus. To take this opportunity, I do want to welcome Miss Marie Brown. She's the newest member of the Viper group. I'm super stoked to have her in the group. You know, some of those disclosures that I talk about in my one-on-one meetings, you know, it's kind of a fickle topic, and that I can't talk about what magic is going on behind the scenes. When I get to meet with people, a lot of the channel creators in the group here, I've had the opportunity for some FaceTime with anyway. But when I get to meet somebody for the first time and get to do that ice breaking and the Q&A session to kind of get to know where you are, sometimes process improvements arise right away. Sometimes it takes a little bit more deliberation. I'm pretty good at it. Yeah, I'm pretty good at it. And I will not apologize for a $2 a month. Especially when there are other programs out there that are charging upwards of $30, $40 and above in a month. This is a yearly membership, and I just want to welcome Marie to the group, man. Just a fantastic addition to it. I took a little bit of heat, but not quite as much as I thought I would. It made sense for me to do that. Again, I have that opportunity to roll those out through the channel. Having over 25,000 subscribers, it would be an opportunity that I could not and would not roll out with 300 subscribers, okay? So just like some of the speculative plays on some of the mining stocks I'm rolling out, guys, I get compensated fat for rolling those out, okay? The disclaimer's right on the front of those videos. And I might just add, there's people in my community who are interested in speculation. There are people in my community who have multi-millions of dollars of wealth and are looking for that niche in investing. See, investing isn't just what you think that it is, okay? Investing is a multifaceted game, that of which you will never master in the course of your entire life. I do contend that the masses need to get their ass off the sideline. I do. But if you do get involved, I'm kind of a student at my work, and I'm kind of a student of this craft. The more I know, the more I realize that I don't know. Okay. It's kind of like a Socratic approach to this whole YouTube gig and investing gig. And I sit there sometimes at awe, and I listen to guys like Matt Money talk about breaking down stock and how guys like Kyle can break this down right off the cuff. Okay. They're fantastic. I'm just cool. I'm happy they let me hang out with them, to be honest with you, because I end up being smarter for it. But, you know, hey, those little miners, they're up 20% in 4 days. You know, and I've always said bottom line to this gig is money. It really is. And for those few folks, I had one guy hit me up and he was like, Ryan, I haven't watched your channel for 2 years. I did a search on mining stocks and your name came up. And I was like, man, I know this cat. Boom. Nice to see you again. Thank you so much for the offering. I really appreciate it. It's just interesting, the two sides to the spectrum. And I do spend an ample time deliberating on whether or not I'm going to roll those opportunities out. I'd like to see them a little infrequent, but to be honest with you guys, I was pursuing that with some ferocity to try to put a good foot forward with the advertising company. And I believe I did that. So I would just ask for that small little bit of latitude on me pursuing those opportunities. If it's not for you, shut it off. I deploy the same technique with other YouTubers that I typically don't like. And to meet my high bar for criteria anyway, there's a few folks that I catch, and that's about it anyway. I don't spend a lot of my time on YouTube anyway. But I want to focus on the group tonight. I really do. If you guys are letting me run with this, I can certainly drop another invite in before I start this, just so you guys know when I'm doing it, so you don't have to search through the thread. There it is. I got it. I'm going to cruise up here. Very cool. I got Larry Massa. So I appreciate you, Dave. I really do. This is all he does, I believe. He's got a very, very solid, I believe, 7-figure portfolio, I believe, if not fairly close. But Dave's really good on options, and I'm looking forward to getting a little bit of that knowledge rubbed off on me. So I'm just glad to know you, man. That's part of the reason why I do this. Some of the intangibles as to why I do this. The community aspect is good, but to be quite honest with you, if I can declare to you something, I don't know what I would do without this channel, because I need to be immersed in this game, and it means a ton to me. It really does. I'll let you get that new desk set up, Maddie. He's kicking it from Houston. Fantastic. I'll get you in here in a couple seconds, brother. Fantastic. We got a surprise guest, absolutely surprise guest. But Larry Massa, man, says he added some Visa and some QQQ. So that brings up kind of a point. I've owned Visa for years. It's a staple in my portfolio. I think he was giving some credit to Lydia Santiago with My Investment Journey, who's basically killing the game out in California, absolutely killing it. That's about as specific as I'll get, but killing the game as far as work and looking to pursue some of those other avenues as far as real estate. So really proud of those efforts, but I know she was bullish on Visa. It's been a long holding of mine. You know, the silent play in the transaction space has been PayPal, quite frankly. PayPal's up for me 167 freaking percent. I don't know. It's something just dumb, you know. Had I just flipped the script and just put my entire portfolio into growth, I'd probably be up over $500,000 right now, but that's not how it played. And that's not how I invest. It's not in line with my risk tolerance at all. And that's going to be key for you guys. It really breaks my heart to see a lot of these young investors getting involved in the investing game. And I'm not saying it's wrong. I'm just saying that it might be ill-timed. And let me validate that, man. Give yourself a freaking fighting chance to get yourself with a couple of months. Geez, I mean, I got people talking themselves off a stock after a couple weeks. And I'm commenting in these groups like no tomorrow. And I'm just like, dude, guys, it's irrelevant. It means nothing. It is meaningless to be monitoring stock on a day-to-day basis. I do it. I do it just because I'm a student of the game. Hell, guys, I was on the freaking elliptical today watching the price action on Hyliion through Google Finance. Okay? I'm a student of the game, baby. The more it went up, the more excited I got, right? And then it would go down and I would kind of slow down a little bit, you know, pace myself a little bit, you know what I'm saying? So I'm going to make this gig healthy. I'm going to make it healthy. I love investing. And if there's some of those intangibles that you can get from me, it's that I'm passionate about investing, and I hope to get everybody excited about investing as well. To the contrary, what I freaking don't want to see happen is people coming onto YouTube channels, myself, and any one of these channel community creators, and just blindly deploying strategy without understanding that my program is for me, okay? My program might not be appropriate for Matt Money. It might not be appropriate for Lydia. right? Or Jerry, or Randy, or any of these other cats in this crew. It just doesn't work that way. And I think that shallow approach to just following the herd, man, really needs to be called out. And with my one voice in 60 minutes, I really do try to pack in as much of that impact as I possibly can, man, because it's got to stop. I do envision an investing world where most people get in and they do succeed at this gig. Okay. My good friend Matt Money made a quote this week, and it impacted me. It really does. Made the point to passive investing. With passive investing, you will succeed. With single stock, you might succeed. And I really want you guys to think about that. It just touched to the core, and it really speaks to how really mature Matt is at 28 years old. I sure wish I was mature at that age. I probably had the right mind for it, but my life took me on a different path that has got me sitting in front of you kind folks at this particular juncture running the Independent Investor channel, man. So give me a thumbs up, Matty, if you're ready to rock, man. You ready to rock? Fantastic. We'll test the audio, Matt, man. And I just, dude, you're coming from Houston. Welcome home. Welcome home.
Amen. Amen. Thank you. Thank you.
Great to have you back in the mainland, and glad everything was good with safe travels and all that. I was touched, man.
Yeah, absolutely.
I was taking a shower today, and I was listening to the WhatsApp group, and I was listening to your audio drops in there. Legit, it's almost like I had a better understanding of options after just a couple minutes of your message, man. I just thank you for that. I don't think you do it for any other reason because you like it. I don't want to speak
100%.
you, man, but
yeah, sorry. I think there's a second delay.
Is there a delay?
Yeah,
Is there a delay on
my end? So apologies. It's me. But anyway, yeah, truly appreciate it. And I learned a little bit more every day. I learned a little bit from Dave and really honed in on the strategy. I really enjoy it. But the one thing I do want to correct you on is you wrote, or you said, one of my quotes, which, of course, anyone can take and kind of run with it. I'm perfectly fine with it. But I agree with you 100%. You can get rich by investing in individual stocks, but you choose the right ETF and most likely index funds, and you will guarantee to get rich. I think some folks will rush to any ETF and think that it's the right thing to do, but they need to look at the prospectus. They need to think if that fits into their investment strategy, and then I think they can potentially sit back and wait and make that passive sort of investment work for them. But I think some people will rush into something because, like you've been talking about this whole stream, folks will follow the herd sometimes and not necessarily think, how does this fit into my strategy? But anyway, the reason why I really wanted to come on was to congratulate you on all the success that you've had, for sure. And I think one of the big things that I've always been a huge proponent of for this year for you is to really kick off your podcast. And it truly is a different way to listen and take in your message. And I think if anybody would just take, I guess, 2 hours of their time on a Saturday while they're mowing the lawn or running on a treadmill to just listen to some of those things. One of the ones that I finished today, which I think you put on the 4th of October, was the 5 key, I guess, pillars of life, right? And that was hugely impactful for me, and truly has been something that I know Ryan Scribner has talked about. I'm now trying to get a little bit more into that journey as well. And I honestly think that if people aren't listening, it's on Apple Podcasts, it's on Spotify, it's whatever. And Ryan is doing a phenomenal job. And you touched on it a little bit earlier about, YouTube's been really good to you this year, and kicking that project off has been really good for you this year. But I really urge people to take 2-3 minutes to at least look at it, see if it's something that you're interested in, and just hit play. And I guarantee you will not regret that at all.
There was a time, I think, during my evolution of YouTube where I was kind of on my own a little bit, and I can kind of earmark with some pretty distinct memory, kind of Jason with JMac investing, kind of, I don't know, spearheading a little bit more of a gelling of the community. And I think for me, man, 2020, it's interesting. All the success, all that stuff. I take that with a grain of salt. I still look at my channel like a new channel. Okay. And some people might, it's the difference in perspective because I'm part of the new YouTube finance group with all the new YouTubers that are coming up. And there's some comments in there, the longer you do this, you go through every piece of deliberation, every bit of demotivating, like, what the hell am I doing? Like, is my message even important? Like,
Yep.
There's 1,000 other YouTubers out there. What makes me different? Well, what makes you different is you. And what makes you different is to ask yourself why you do this. Why you do this. Why do I sit up at 12 o'clock and I put on a candle on the desk and I don't script my podcast? I light it and I do my podcast in the dark because it allows me to get into that channel and just throw down. And I don't know how it's going to turn out. I don't. Sometimes during the podcast when I'm filming it, in the back of my mind, I'm like, this sucks, but I can't stop. And I just keep going. But I'm more interested, I think, Matt, in maybe where the project's going. It's that forward thinking mentality that I've had for a long time. I don't really remember. Sometimes it consumes you a little bit because you get caught up in where you're going and you don't necessarily take that ample time to recognize where you are. And I think that's where some of that message came from, was some of those 5 important pieces to life. When I'm in the gym, cutting teeth, if you were in the gym and it just goes to the investing game as well. I can't tell you how many times I'm in the gym and there's nobody else there, nobody. And it's like, where is it in most people's importance, priority list? Where is it? And for me, it's kind of a release, because the older you get, the more you realize that there's a lot to do. And there's only so many minutes in the day. And what's really got me refreshed right now on this project is these multiple platforms. Yesterday, I dropped a podcast and a blog. I didn't even touch YouTube. And that type of thing, man, partially I gave credit to Kyle right at the top of the stream, man. Cat built me, that opportunity. And a little bit of payback for me is to show him that I care so much. And it gives me that avenue, because who we're trying to advocate for, Matt. Me and you are both retail investors. I think institutional investors really do get the nod a lot of the times, and I think retail investors have a place in this deal as well, as long as it's kept within context and perspective. But I appreciate the kind words. 3.5 years to me, man, it seems like we're just in our inception. And I don't foresee myself doing this for 20 years insofar as, YouTube and what I've done. Like, I feel like the project has evolved in 3.5 years. I envision being in front of 5,000, 10,000 people someday, and they could put me there tomorrow. I'd be completely fine with that. So this is like my online resume. It really is. And in the meantime, I'm just enjoying the acquaintances, to be honest with you.
100%. No, I think it takes decades to build an audience the size of stadiums. And I think that you're 100% right. You can't touch every retail investor in a year or a year's time, but your influence will grow, and it has grown. I mean, just from the past year that I've kind of really known you, I think it's been maybe less than a year, maybe just over a year. But I think I really started watching you when I was, I think, in Turks and Caicos in like October last year, I think. And so I think it's almost been about a year. And the ability for you to have grown from the 13,000 that you had back then to the over 25,000 you have now is a testament not only to your message, but that the need for retail investors for your message is absolutely phenomenal. And you're 150% right. I mean, this community is just getting started. And I remember just moving to Trinidad, what was it, like August last year, and just meeting Jason. And to think how far we've come in just that short year's time frame, it's only just beginning. And you always said to me when we were first getting started that we're always stronger together. And I noticed that every single day, even getting more and more strong, and our bond and our friendships between me, Dave, Kyle, you, and us sticking together is definitely something I hope we can continue to grow. But anyway, I don't want to take too much of your time, but I definitely wanted to advocate your message on Apple Podcasts, Spotify. and definitely continue on doing what you're doing. I'm a huge admirer and a huge follower of your message. And where you lead, I will follow, my friend. So take care.
It goes both ways, man. Thanks for coming on, Matt. Love you, man. I'll
Absolutely.
catch you in the next
All right.
one. All right. Yep. I'll be there. Yeah. So, those are the types of things that motivate me. And when I talk about some of the things that I get through the channel, that is the payback. You guys need to understand some of the compensation that's received on the channel. If you guys knew the truth, I don't think you'd be quite so hard, especially those folks that are kind of like, man, Ryan, you're selling out on the channel, right? I'm like, no, I'm man. I do a Friday live stream. I try to stay relevant and active with the podcast. I do tweet to Twitter. I don't know what the hell that even means, to be honest with you. That's like my sacrificial lamb. Instagram's basically the same thing. I get a little more personal with that. But the Facebook group, one of my most proud projects, I put work into that self-study and education, and the least people can do is at least get the access code right. Everybody guesses bourbon or Bitcoin, everybody. And I set it up that way for a reason, so they couldn't guess that you have to come into the live stream and understand that the VIP code is lightning. That's what it is. It's lightning. and just that little bit of give back will get you into a Facebook group free of charge. Okay. I decline about 9 out of 10 of the people who request to come in there. Now, I think the moderators and the administrators would agree with me that that's check and balance has really cleaned up the group. There's no more crap in there. The first time that they throw anything, I kick them out. They're gone. They're banned. They're gone. They can't enter again. I think it's really unfortunate. But my point around that Facebook group having 3,500 members in there, I always said that I wanted it to be a drop point for information, articles, topics, YouTube channels to a certain extent, right? I do absolutely give certain unabated access to certain folks in the community here. But to provide that and roll that out, guys, that's free of charge. That's time spent on my dime and away from my family. Why? Because I want to. It's just that simple of a reason. And for the people who have come in there, and for the folks that run that group, you're smarter sitting across from an Ernest or a Raymond and talking to those cats. I know I am. I owe those guys to the nth degree. And I think both of those guys would probably say, no, Ryan, you're good. No, man, I acknowledge I'm taking advantage of you because you're smart. These cats are genius. And I'm not. I've been able to look in the mirror for a long, long time and say, Ryan, you're not the sharpest tool in the shed. How are you going to get ahead? And the answer was, I'm going to outwork people. So I have no problem working and grinding and doing things that take the new generation half the time or a quarter of the time that it takes me to figure stuff out. But I don't mind putting in that time on the channel. I really don't. It's enjoyable for me. I enjoy this as an outlet for myself. And, for the kind folks that make their way in here, that's really what it's all about. It really is. All right. I'm going to get to some of these questions here. Christian Gonzalez, how's the industrial sector is under a change, giving the better energy alternatives coming out? Yeah, no doubt about it. I mean, Royal Dutch Shell comes to my mind, going to, renewable biofuel, which I think is fabulous. It goes hand in hand with what I've been kind of preaching with Hyliion, not rocket science. And I don't mean to sell Hyliion. I don't need to sell it at all. That's not my point. It's not. You guys, I won't disclose any more over public live streams and especially over YouTube videos. My specific position. My Viper group knows exactly where I'm at on Hyliion. I will just say that I sold the shares outright for a profit. Okay. I will also say that I would have never bought the stock at $50. I'm sorry if there's people out there that did justify moving into the position at 50. I would have never done that. But I am a long holder of Hyliion, and it comes in the form of the Hyliion warrants. Absolutely. So that's where I've sought out opportunity. But I think ExxonMobil and Chevron, I think the majors are going to be beneficial here. I've just continued to hold these companies. I really have. And, it's been a real downer But here's the thing. That's what I signed up for. Single stock investing is just that. If you want to own energy, you can own it in a multiple array of facets. You can own the pipelines, you can own the midstreams, you can own chemical producers, you can own the major oils, crude, you can own the chemical companies, etc. You can do all kinds of stuff. Then you break into materials. That's a whole nother ball of wax. What I'm saying is pick your poison, okay, and pick it wisely. You guys know that I do own VDE, I believe, which is Vanguard's sector. Okay. And I don't enjoy owning those individually. In other words, I wouldn't opt to own just technology standalone unless you were looking to own technology, let's say in your Roth IRA, and you wanted to go with, I believe it's VHT, right? Vanguard's technology ETF. You guys know the one, but my exposure is sought out through the sector specialty ETF portfolio that I roll out through M1 Finance. I like investing that way. It's a lot of fun, okay? But there is transition going on right now. I think if in some small part it's some level of comfort or at least a checkbox in why I'm so heavily bullish on Hyliion going forward. Had a busy week, fully advertised that over social media and through the news outlets as well, kicking up to Canada, hanging out with Justin Trudeau, the Prime Minister of Canada as well, and managed to fit in a $68 million pre-order of the Hypertruck ERX, which is going to be their bread and butter going into late 2021. And it'll be scary to see where the hell this company is in 2024. And I might get crazy with this deal. I might get crazy. I might get jiggy with it. I might hold this sucker ultra long. We'll see what happens because I've got some prospects that are drawn up. And, you know, in the short term, I believe that it's going to go where I believe it's going to go. In the medium term, I'm going to have some decisions to make. Right now, investing in this company in the 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, hell, it doesn't even matter to me. It's irrelevant. It doesn't speak to how bullish I am on the company long term. But that's going to be the scary prospect for this company is the medium and long term decisions that I'm able to put myself on and make sure that I don't sell out of the company too early. That's going to be the key for me. Okay. So I appreciate the question, Christian. Thank you for getting me on my renewable natural gas. It's awesome. Larry, I tend to stick to the same companies. Visa is awesome. So yeah, she's been bullish on this company for a while. I bet she still owns Roku. She's probably like, oh, Ryan, you didn't just say that on a live stream. Yeah, I did. It's like, I think it's over 200 right now. She's like, yeah, I know. I'd be up this much. Oh, all the what ifs that we've had in our investing career. It's crazy stuff, man. Just hope all's well. Can't complain. All is well. Getting to hang out with you fine folks for 60 minutes. And, you know, I really wish this is kind of a test tube for me. I'm doing the 60-minute live stream. I did really enjoy the 2-hour live stream because I got this thing kind of cranked up and then I've got to turn it off. But I think it's been really, really good for the channel. I think it does allow people who don't really have the time to sit there for 2 hours and listen to me rant on a live stream. If you want to listen to that and you're that devoted, I've just put a playlist on the homepage of the Independent Investor channel that has all my old live streams in it. So you can binge watch. Look, I'm not a Netflix program and my operating budget is fairly light. But if you're that devoted and you want to do that, I've made that product available for you. Have at it. All right. You can have all the 2-hour live streams you want. That was back in the olden days. It's a lot of fun. Yeah, Mr. Jerry in the house, man. Just appreciate you. Awesome. I totally agree. It's my top 5 favorites. You guys are probably talking about Visa. Sure. I own Visa and PayPal. PayPal, a significantly smaller amount in the portfolio. Cruising down the list here, guys. This is one of my favorite things to do, to be honest with you. What's going on, Independent Investor and everyone open all as well? Absolutely. Great to see you, Adrian. So All Good has been anointed. She has been added to my investor community, which I don't know if it gives proper credit because All Good is like the lifeblood of the channel, to be specific. She is the only content creator, and she's so good. She is a subscriber to a lot of different channels, and she has 28 subscribers herself. So I'd like to see everybody just subscribe to her as a non-YouTube content creator. I just think that's awesome. I don't think she has a YouTube channel. I could be wrong, but I actually think she's a consumer of our content, and I just couldn't be more proud to have her as part of the community. It's awesome. Least I could do. But I did expand my investing community as well as my featured channels. I put some of the bigger channels on there that I really respect. I believe I threw Gen X Dividend in that group as well. And then the investing community up top as well. Some content creators in there as well as all good as well. So fantastic. Yeah, so I wish you would have bought this when I had rolled it out on my stocks to buy for October. I also wish somebody else would have bought the stock when he rolled it out on his top stocks to buy for October. And that is this guy, because that was just about as good as screaming at me with a bow wrapped around it, ready to buy it. Let's see, entry on that old girl was like 608. So, James, goodbye. It's going to be coupled to Boeing, but if you're willing to hold the stock long, I think you've got some long-term capital appreciation. There's still a dividend to boot, very, very small, very anemic, but 58 billion. They've really trimmed their market cap at General Electric. Last I looked at the balance sheet, they were about half the company, half. So I think Culp's doing the right thing, and part of my bullish thesis is with the CEO, right in the turnaround, making that big sale of it was the insurance and healthcare side, I believe. 34 bills is what they got for that. So you'll see that cash on the balance sheet there from that sale. They're just sitting on it. They're doing the right freaking thing, not being idiots. I'm quite certain that a lot of idiots got fired there because evidently they couldn't keep a book. But thank you for sharing that. I think GE will be fine. I see the stock going to 12 in the short term, but we'll see what's happened. There's been a lot of head fakes, but I do consider no news good news with General Electric at this point. I really do. So Jerry saw it, and I saw it, and James saw it. There's a lot of people who have seen this stock. They're all lot are covering it for sure. It's my guy. For sure. It's glad to see him home, man. I wish I was in Houston, man, for sure. I really do. If I was down there, I think it'd be a lot of fun. And, I would definitely hit Matt up, and we'd get some duds on and go have some martinis and check some jazz. You bet. Life is good. Life is good. That's why you do things like that. I hope you're seeking out those opportunities, guys, because life is freaking good, man. It is good. Lydia says it's a cool intro. I have to admit, it's cool. It is. It's cool. I'm going to wear it out as long as I can, and then I'm going to make a new one because I like doing that. It's a lot of fun. One of the affiliates that I have slowed down on rolling that out. I know it was hot and heavy there for a bit, trying to get that stuff out with Stock Rover and the Independent Investor Group, etc. for the hard rollout. I wanted to announce that I'm allowing people in the group for $24. It will never be that cheap again. If I do the sale, it will be once a year, and it will be during holiday times. And as the group gets to a place where I want it, I will start to lock it down, and I will raise the price. Eventually, to sit across in a Zoom meeting with me is going to be it's going to be a lot, because I'm going to be busy and I'm not going to have the time unless I'm compensated for my time and ability. It's just the opportunity to change your life. No big deal. I can say that with full confidence. Some may consider it arrogant or cocky. I don't really care. I was the one sitting across from those other meetings, and I was the one that witnessed the impact. And quite frankly, I was a student of my own game, because that's a magical time when you're one-on-one or you're one-on-two with an aunt and a daughter, making those situations happen and motivating that youth, man, circumventing some of those mistakes, streamlining the process so people can really understand what's going to click for them. Right? It's the game plan. It's all it is, man. It's getting somebody to understand, and because everybody's got it. Everybody's got the potential upstairs. All we need to do is just get rid of and separate the gray matter into black and white. That's all we've got to do for people, man. And I'm pretty good at it. So I'm going to continue to do it. Yeah. Hidden Freedom says fire. Absolutely. I hope I wish you guys all the best in your fire. I don't know if he says I'm on fire or if he heard me talk about my hair on fire or if he's talking about the retire early. I wish you guys all the best. I really do. I just want to be able to pick up the phone and be like, Matt, where are you? Philippines? Nice. I'll be there. Right on. I just look at the world a little bit different, and perhaps maybe you guys will be able to do the same with me. I may be in Austria someday. We'll see. If you've never been there, check it out. It's a beautiful, beautiful freaking country. It's like heaven. It really is. Life is good, man. Absolutely. Ryan knows I only like to do my investing raw and long term. I just think, I mean, you're freaking fine, Matt, right? So, you're polishing and ever evolving, etc. We need to take big swaths out of knowledge for these younger folks that seemingly just don't have a clue. And it reminds me of somebody else who at some point also didn't have a clue about how to approach this gig. Me. Okay. Now, the title of this video is Why I Do This, and it is about the youth. It is about the elderly who have came to me and told me, I wish I would have done more investing, Ryan. And I hear that. I freaking hear that. And I'm like, okay, how could we transcend and communicate that knowledge from the older generation who always tell me the same thing? I wish I would have done more. I wish I would have done more, right? I can be kind of the conduit to push to those young folks. I am an advocate for our international community. I am. I'm a staunch advocate because those cats, they can put fiscal discipline on the radar, no doubt. And they can put some Americans, not to be rude, to shame with regard to our constant bitching about us and all the opportunity that we have and seemingly get to screw up all the time and then bitch about it because we can't get it right. All right. Keep this thing in perspective, man. The power of the stock market, it's never been so accessible. That doesn't mean that you have to go out and try to capture a lightning bolt. It doesn't. It just means that your ease of access is that much more obtainable, right? So you don't have to get over your skis, man. Just stand on the skis and allow the momentum to take you, okay? But you don't need to try to outthink this gig. You don't need to try to outsmart investing because it will outfox you every single time. It will outfox you. The stock market, just in case you haven't been told, it goes down. Something raw that I have for you is you can lose in the stock market, okay? And I don't know. I don't know if my fellow compadres across YouTube are quite as open and honest about that fact. And it seems like finding the next best stock so that the masses can come in like sheep and watch their shepherd tell them how they're supposed to invest is supposed to be the way that you're approaching investing. I beg to differ. Okay. Empowered means that you're able to stand alone with the decisions that you've made. Yeah, you might hear an awareness piece and okay, acknowledged, great, but that doesn't make sense for me. The quicker we can get you to that evolution as an investor, the better off you will be. No doubt about it. All right. Screws too. I got my good friend from New Jersey, man, in the house. Fantastic. What's going on, Junior? What's going on, everyone? Hope everyone enjoyed their day. Love the new intro. Fantastic. I know. I just feel like getting up and dancing. It's awesome. Hola, amigos. Fantastic. Investing is fun. Good vibes, man. It needs to be fun. There's some cats not having fun right now with High Leon. There's no doubt. There's some half-life positions there. Kind of goes back to my rule of thumb. Imagine taking your entire position and imagining that it's gone. And a lot of people are like, what? Why, Ryan? What are you talking about? This thing's going to 100, right? My initial price target medium term was 85 to 110. I haven't changed because I don't put a lot of emphasis on day to day, week to week. The company's been merged for 2 weeks. It's like irrelevant. Okay, it's irrelevant. But a lot of these cats are just like, I've lost it all. How the hell have you lost it all? I can give you the only floor in the stock is 0. I can tell you it's not going lower than 0. You can tell me it's going to 10. You can tell me it's going to 50. I'll just nod my head and say you're full of it. You don't know. Okay? You don't know. Even Jim Cramer. He doesn't know. All right? What we do know is that there has been an impasse in the intrinsic value of the stock and the warrants. If you want to know more about what I'm talking about, go check it out. Today was that day. Today was that impasse where the warrants stopped trading at an accelerated down rate, and the underlying stock actually was down more than the warrants. There's a reason for that. As we approach November 2nd, you'll understand why. All right. Very cool. Very cool. Sold out of LCA and SPAC today. Yeah. So I said on one of my blogs or one of my podcasts that I don't think I'll be doing a whole lot of SPAC investing per se. I'll still continue to monitor the landscape just because I'm fascinated. I really am. I'm fascinated at some of the big players that are bringing these companies to bear. My problem is who I'm investing alongside. It's like sitting at a blackjack table and I'm the only one that knows how to play. To hell with that. I'm good. Thank you. Hyliion taught me a lot about the process. It taught me a lot about the shares in the float. It taught me a lot about the majority of the shares being available to retail investors who perhaps maybe held weak hands and then exacerbated selling at the first sign that the stock wasn't going to 100, right? That doesn't help. Institutional investors standing by on the sideline, chomping at the bit for 3 months. So they're going to do everything they can do to short the stock, number one. Number two, pile on every single story. Hell, even hire people to put out propaganda. Anymore, you never know what's going on behind the scenes to help drive a stock. But I would say congratulations to any of the institutional investors. You would have just been better off just waiting throughout all of the storm and just making a strong move. And Hyliion right here, it hit 26 today, I believe. That would have been the better move. An even better move would have been to step in the warrants today at $12 a share. That would have been the move. You could have avoided everything. You could have avoided all the noise. You could have avoided all the drama. You could have avoided all the run up in the stock. You could have avoided all of what people think are technical reads, but there's nothing really in the track record that's technically achievable on the charts. Does that make sense? Like, you can trade Johnson & Johnson on technicals. Hyliion's been merged for 2 weeks, okay? And it's yet to report earnings. It's yet to even have earnings. It has orders, but it doesn't have earnings. Okay, so just one of those insights from me. I'm fine. I made money on the stock. That's totally fine. I left about, I don't know, maybe 18,000 on the table, perhaps, maybe. But I'll be the one wiser for it. Certainly, I'm more happy with the position that I have now than the position that I had before when I wrote it up above 50. Right? Very cool. I'm going to continue to search through here. Again, guys, it always piles on, and I always run out of time, man. I always do. I got Frame of Mind in the house, man. Very cool. I'm good. I'm fantastic. Thank you. Channel has been always improving and started out one of the very best. Yeah, no, I mean, I don't know. There's some cats on YouTube that are just downright freaking awesome. Some of these younger channels, they're really, really good. I'm not looking to be another investing channel. I want people to remember my message. I want people to come in and be like, man, I don't know. I can't really put my thumb on it, but there was something kind of special about that. Like, this guy didn't look to the teleprompter one time during his entire live stream. Isn't that weird? Like, where's all this crap coming from? Unique. I love it. I'm not going to get to everybody for sure, guys. I've got less than a minute. What I wanted to drive home tonight was the point that you're all part of something special. You are a big reason why I do this channel. I, too, am a big reason why I do this channel. My international investors, those young investors, and those investors that You know, they're older in their life and they reflect back on their life. If we can save those folks any degree of regret for not taking on risk, for not pursuing this opportunity the way they should have, right? If we can get that message into those young folks and maybe circumvent some of those, maybe put yourself on a different path than you were predestined to be on in life, that's why I do it. That's why I do it. Stay with me, guys. We'll be back next Friday at 9 o'clock Eastern Standard Time on the Independent Investor Channel. Don't forget, if you want to be a guest on the channel, man, I open the door every single week. Anybody who is anybody is welcome to come on. Just like Matt did, say hello. Tell me what you like about the channel. Tell me what you don't like about the channel. And we'd be glad to have you nonetheless, guys. Thank you so much. Appreciate your time. Have a great weekend. We'll catch you next Friday. Cheers, guys.